evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English Drama Group. Hooray! This is this year's production is called 12 Angry Jurors, based on 12 Angry Men, which was probably the only way to do it 60 years ago when it was written just with men. Now you can have women on juries. As much as I like women doing everything men do, I don't know whether it's such a pleasure being on a jury, because deciding whether someone should live or die is never a pleasure, neither for a man or a woman. We don't have that system, we don't have the death penalty, but in some states of the US they still have A, the death penalty, and B, juries deciding on life and death. So it is a play written 60 years ago, but still relevant. Also because a lot of racism and anger and Trumpism and whatnot is coming back these days. So, strange thing about that play is that it doesn't really sound 60 years old, but it sounds like it was taken straight from the news, which is a bit frightening. It is a real-time play. You will watch 12 jurors discussing a case, and that takes some time. So you need to be very patient. They discuss for more than 2 hours. We will stop right in the middle, have an interval, where you can get drinks, and then we carry straight on the moment where they finish the first half, they carry on the second half. So you just watch them talking. To be fair, that is not much of a theatre play. That can be very tiring. And to be honest, it isn't a theatre play. It was written for television by Reginald Rose. It was never a book or a theatre play, it's a teleplay. So in the original version, the television version that probably nobody's ever seen, or very few people, they already work with camera angles and make it more interesting to just watch 12 people talk and talk and talk. And in the film with Henry Fonda, they made that spectacular. The camera is amazing in that film, that won many Oscars. We don't have that. You sit there, this is the room. We try to make it as interesting and lively as possible anyway. And it's been done by many, many theatre groups following the success of that famous film. So, if you've got a drink and enough time to spare, I hope you'll have a good time. This is our last show, end of this season, and this is my last show altogether after 31 years with the drama group. So this is the ultimate, this is the end. End of it all.
Just for some.
Just for some. Yeah. If you happen to have any smartphones or such, please switch them off. So you don't distract the actors. Otherwise, please enjoy as much as you can.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I come to my final instruction to you. Murder in the first degree is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy you your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, let's move along, ladies and gentlemen.
You know something? I checked the weather online. This is the hottest day of the year. You think I need air condition the place? I almost dropped dead in court.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside. Just knock. I never knew they locked the door.
Sure, they locked the door. But you think?
I don't know. It just never occurred to me.
Well, they will. Hey, you. What's that for?
Well, I was figuring we might want to vote by ballots.
Oh, great idea. Maybe we can get the kid elected senator, huh?
How do you like it?
Well, I don't know. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was falling asleep.
I mean, I've never been on a jury before.
Really? I've sat on juries, and it always amazes me the way these lawyers can talk and talk and talk, even when the case is as obvious as this one. I mean, did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Sure they are. Everyone deserves a fair trial. That's the system. Listen, I'm the last one to say anything against it. Sometimes I think we'd be better off if we just took these tough kids and smack them down before they make any trouble, you know? Save us a lot of time and money.
Hey, how about getting started here?
Well, I figured we'd take a 5-minute break. I mean, the old man's in the bathroom.
Are we going to sit in order?
Oh, I don't know.
Nice view, huh? What do you think of the case? It had a lot of interest for me. No dead spots. I tell you, real lucky to get a murder case. I figured us for a burglary or an assault or something. Who's gonna be the dullest? Isn't that the Trump Tower?
I'm afraid so.
Honey, I've lived here all my life, but I've never been in it.
Goddamn waste of time.
Yeah. Can you imagine sitting here 3 days just for this?
Yeah, and what about that business with a knife? I mean, asking grown-up people to believe that kind of bullshit.
Well, look, you gotta expect it. You know what you're dealing with, huh?
Yeah, I suppose not. What's the matter? You got a cold?
And how? You know, these hot weather colds, they can really kill you. I don't know how to touch my nose. Know what I mean?
Well, your horn's alright, now try the lights. Oh, it's beautiful. DAC doesn't work. Somebody write a letter to the mayor. Dear greedy bastard.
Let me take a look at it. It doesn't work.
Hey,
Didn't have a chance to catch the news today. Anything new going on?
Huh? Oh, I was just wondering how the market closed.
I wouldn't say, are you on the exchange or something?
I'm a broker. Murray, I called in Weymouth. Before that, I was with stock at Waterman.
I run a removal company. Lift and Swift Company. The name is my wife's idea. I employ 37 people. Started with nothing.
Hey, Madam Speaker, let's go. What do you say?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take seats.
This better be fast. I have tickets to a concert. Rolling Stones open air their last tour. You're quite a rock fan, aren't you? Where did you want us to sit?
Well, I was thinking we ought to sit in order of jury numbers. So 2, 3, 4, and so on, if that's okay with you guys.
It's different.
It sounds reasonable to sit according to number.
Let it be.
Say, what do you think of the prosecuting attorney? I thought he was really sharp. I mean, the way he hammered home his points one by one in logical sequence. It takes a good brain to do that. I mean, that's impressive, am I right?
Yes, I think he did an expert job.
And he had a lot of drive, too. Real drive.
Okay, let's get this thing going. Come on.
Yeah, all right. How about sitting down? The gentleman at the window. How about sitting down?
I'm sorry.
Pretty tough to figure, isn't it? Kid kills his father. Bing! Just like this.
Well, if you analyze the figures...
What figures? It's those people, I'm telling you. They let the kids run wild up there. Well, maybe it serves them right, know what I mean?
Hey, you dig the Stones?
No, the Beatles.
The Beatles? You gotta be kidding me. Listen, this is elevator music. You call that rock and roll? That's hippie bullshit. Come on.
We'd like to get started.
I'm sorry.
Beatles.
All right. Now, you guys can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to have any rules. So, if we want to discuss first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now to see where we are. Well, that's all I have to say.
I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
Yeah, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Well, it's up to you. Just let's remember we've got a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
Yeah, come on, let's vote.
Yeah. Let's see who's where.
Okay, anybody doesn't want to vote? Okay, this has to be a 12-0 vote either way. That's the law. Okay, are we ready? All those voting guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty.
What is it?
Okay, all those voting not guilty?
No.
1. Right. Okay, That's 11 to 1 guilty. Now we know where we are.
Boy, oh boy. There's always one, huh?
So, what do we do now?
Well, I guess we talk.
Boy, oh
Look, do you really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
I mean, let's be reasonable here. You said in court, you heard the same things we did. The man's a dangerous killer, you can see that.
The man? He's 16 years old.
Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father, 4 inches into the chest.
It's pretty obvious. I mean, I was convinced from the first day.
Well, who wasn't? I really think this is one of those open and shut things. They proved it. A dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you?
No.
And what do you want?
Nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? 11 people here agree. Nobody had to think twice about it except you.
I want to ask you something. Do you believe the story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what did you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It is not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it.
Well, who says it's easy for me?
No.
Well, just because I voted fast. I think the guy is guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talk for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just, we're talking about somebody's life here. We can't decide this in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong. Suppose this whole building fell on my head. You can suppose anything.
That's right.
Listen, what's the difference how long it takes? We honestly think the guy is guilty. So suppose we finish in 5 minutes. So what?
Let's take an hour. Your show doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
Okay, buddy. Be my guest.
Who's got something to say? How about you?
No, not me.
I'm willing to put in an hour.
Great. No. I heard a pretty good story last night. This woman, she comes running into the doctor's office straight
That's
to
not what we're sitting.
All right. And you tell me, what are we sitting here for?
Maybe for no reason, I don't know. But look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in the slums. His mother dead when he was 9. He spent a year and a half in an orphanage because his father had to serve a jail term for forgery. That's not exactly a good head start. He's had a pretty terrible 16 years. I just think maybe we owe him a few words, that's all.
Well, I don't mind telling you this, mister, but we don't owe him a favor. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What you think a trial cost? He's lucky he got one, know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, we're all grown-ups here. We've heard the facts, didn't we? Now you're going to tell us that we're supposed to believe that kid, knowing what he is. Listen, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. I mean, they're born liars.
It suddenly occurs to me that you must be an ignorant man.
What do you mean? What is he talking about?
You have a monopoly on the truth.
Well, you're making a federal case out of it for. How do you like this guy?
I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
Okay, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon in here.
Monopoly. Christ's sakes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we are going to discuss this case, let's stick to the facts.
Right. We have a job to do. Let's do it. I was thinking maybe if the gentleman who's disagreeing down there could tell us why. Tell us what he thinks, so we could show him where he's probably mixed up.
What are you doing? This? It's just one of the products I work on at the ad agency. Rice puffs. Breakfast with the Philip Bounds. I wrote that line, you know. It's very touching.
Look, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, I just have this habit of doodling. It keeps me thinking clearly.
We're trying to get someplace here. We can sit in here forever.
Okay, whatever. Now look, maybe this is an idea. I'm just thinking out loud, but it seems like it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we are right and he's wrong. So if we each took a minute or two, I mean, it's just a quick thought.
Yeah, but I think it's a good one. Supposing we go once around the table in order of jury numbers?
Anything. Let's start it off then.
Okay, that means you're first.
Okay. Well, it's hard to put into words. I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. You've heard of it.
Sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I was trying to say. Look, the guy's guilty. I mean, somebody saw him do it.
Okay, now here's what I think. And I have no personal feelings about this. I'm talking facts. Number one. Let's take the old man. The old man who lived on the second floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises from the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid yell out, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard a body fall, and he ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Yeah, that's right. Those are facts for you. I mean, you can't refute facts. This kid is guilty! Look, I'm a sentimentalist, the next guy. I know the boy is only 16, but he still has to pay for what he did.
I'm with you, man.
It was obvious to me anyway that the boy's entire story was flimsy at best. He claims that he was in the cinema during the time of the killing, and yet, 1 hour later, he couldn't remember what films he saw or who played in them.
Yep, that's right. Did you hear that? You're absolutely right.
No one saw him going into the theater. Nobody saw him coming out.
Yeah. What about the woman across the street? Now, if her testimony doesn't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She was the one who asked when he saw the killing.
Let's go in order here.
Now, wait a minute, just a minute. Now here's a woman lying in bed and can't sleep. She's dying with a heat. Know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window across the street and sees the kid stick the knife into his father. It's 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. And look, she said she'd known the kid half his life. And his window is right opposite hers across the L tracks. She swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of the passing elevated train.
Right. This L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved downtown. The lights were out, remember? And they proved at court that at night you can see through the windows of a passing L train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart fella, aren't you?
Hey, let's take it
No, what's he so wise about? Well, I'm telling you.
Sit down. What are you letting him get you all upset for?
Okay, let's calm down now. Let's try to keep it peaceful in here. Whose turn is it? How about you?
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about the next one?
Well, I don't know. I started to be convinced, very early in the case. Well, I was looking for the motive. That's very important. If there's no motive, where's the case? So, anyway, the testimony from those people across the hall from the kid's apartment, that was very powerful. Did they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard an argument, but couldn't hear what it was about. And then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and finally saw him walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything, it's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Well, you said it revealed a motive for the killing. The prosecuting attorney said the same thing. Well, I don't think that's a very strong motive. This kid has been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs. I really can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
It may have been 2 slaps too many. I mean, every person has a breaking point.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, how about the next one?
Me? I don't know, it's practically all said already. We can talk about it forever. I mean, this kid is on his highway to hell anyway. I mean, look at his record. When he was 10, he was in children's court for throwing a rock at his teacher. At 14, he was in juvenile prison. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up twice for trying to slash another teenager with a knife. He is very quick with switch knives, they said. I mean, this is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I, a kid like that.
Wouldn't you call those beatings a sufficient motive for him to kill his father?
I don't know. It's a motive for him to be an angry kid, I'll say that.
It's the kids. The way they are nowadays. Angry, hostile. Can't do a damn thing with them. It's the way they talk to you. Listen, when I was his age, I used to call my father Sir.
Sir?
Yeah, that's right, Sir. Ever hear a boy call his father that anymore?
Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore.
No? You got any kids?
2.
Yeah, well, I've got one. He's 19. We did everything for this boy. What happened? When he was 9, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed I almost threw up. So I told him right out, I'm gonna make a man out of you. I'm gonna bust you in half trying. Well, I made a man out of him all right. When he was 16, we had a battle. He hit me in the face. He was big, you know. I haven't seen him in 2 years. Rotten kid. You work your heart out. All right, let's get on with it.
I think we are missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's the product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We are here to decide whether he's guilty or innocent of murder, and not to go into reasons why he grew up this way. He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it. So do you. It's no secret. The children from a slum background are potential menaces to society.
Rather, you can say that again. The kids who crawl out of those places, now they are real trash, and I'm telling you,
I've lived in a slum all my life. I nursed that trash in Harlem Hospital 6 nights a week. I used to play in a playground filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Clever girl.
Okay, now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal. There is something personal.
Come on, he didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
The sensitivity I understood.
Okay, now let's stop all this arguing. We're wasting time here. It's your turn. Let's go.
Well, I wasn't expecting a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the idea?
Check. I forgot that.
What's the difference? He's the one who's keeping us here, so let's hear what he's got to say.
No, just a second. We decided to do it a certain way. Let's stick to what.
Stop being such a sissy, will you?
A sissy? Listen, what do you mean by that?
What do you think I mean? S-I-double-S-Y, sissy.
What? Just because I'm trying to keep this thing organized? Listen. You want to do it? Here, you sit here, you take the responsibility. I'll just shut up.
What are you
that's all.
getting so hard about? Calm down, will you?
Don't tell me to calm down. Here's the chair. You keep it going smooth and
You ever
everything.
see
What
such
do
a
you think?
thing?
You think this is funny or something?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Just take it easy. The whole thing is unimportant.
Unimportant? You want to try it?
Well, now look. You're doing a wonderful job. Nobody wants you to change.
Yeah, you're doing great. Hang in there.
All right, let's hear from somebody.
Well, if you'd like me to tell you how I feel about it right now, it's all right with me.
I don't care what you do.
All right. I haven't got anything brilliant. I only know as much as you do. According to the testimony, the boy on trial looks guilty. Maybe he is. I sat there in court for 3 days, listening as the evidence piled up. Everybody sounded so positive that I started to get a peculiar feeling about the whole trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. I had questions I would have liked to ask. Maybe they wouldn't have meant anything, I don't know. But I started to feel that the defense counsel just wasn't doing his job. He let too many things go. Little things.
Little things. Look, when these guys don't ask questions, it's because they know the answers already and they figure they'll be hurt.
Maybe. It's also possible for a lawyer to just be plain stupid, isn't it?
Sound like you've met my brother-in-law.
I kept putting myself in the boy's place. I would have asked for another lawyer, I think. I mean, if I was on trial for my life, I'd want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least to try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness to this killing. Then someone else claims he heard the killing and then saw the boy running out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually, those two witnesses were the entire case to the prosecution. Supposing they were wrong.
Supposing they're wrong, what do you mean, supposing they were wrong? Well,
Could
what's
they?
the point of having witnesses
Could
at all?
they be wrong?
No, I don't think so. They sat on the stand under oath. What are you trying to say here?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Do you know so?
Now listen, nobody can know such a thing. This isn't an exact science.
That's right, it isn't.
Okay, let's try to get to the point here. What about the switch knife they found in the father's chest?
Sorry, I think we ought to, sorry, there's just, some people who haven't talked yet.
Look, they can talk whenever they like, but just be quiet a second, will you? Okay, the knife. You know, the one that fine, upright boy admitted buying on the night of the murder. Let's talk about that, okay?
Let's talk about it. Let's get it in you and look at it. I'd like to see it again. Madam Speaker?
We all know what it looks like. What are we going to gain by looking at it again?
You brought it up.
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence. Now, the knife and the way it was bought. It's pretty strong evidence, don't you think so?
I do.
Good. Now, suppose we take these facts one at a time. 1. The boy admitted going out of his house at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder after being punched several times by his father.
He didn't say punched, he said hit. There's a difference between a slap and a punch.
Very well. After being hit several times by his father. 2. The boy went straight to a neighborhood junk shop where he bought, what do you call these things?
Switch knives.
What?
Switch knives.
Thank you. 3. This wasn't what you would call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle. 4. The storekeeper who sold it to the boy identified the knife in court and said it was the only one of its kind that he had ever had in stock. 5. At 8:45, the boy happened on 3 of his friends in front of a diner. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are. Yeah, you bet he is. And you listen to that man. He knows what he's talking about.
He conversed with his friends for about an hour, leaving them at 9:45. During this time, they all saw the switch knife. 6. Each of them identified the death weapon in court as that very knife. 7. The boy arrived home at about 10 o'clock. Now this is where the stories offered by the boy and the state begin to, let's say, diverge slightly. He claims that he stayed home until 11:30 and then went to one of those all-night cinemas. He returned at 3:15 in the morning to find his father dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to the switch knife? This is the charming and imaginative little fable the boy invented. He claims that the knife must have fallen through a hole in his pocket sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 while he was on his little endeavor to the Motion Picture Palace, and that he never saw it again. Now this is a tale, everyone. I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the cinema that night. No one in his house saw him leave at 11:30. No one in the cinema identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the films he saw. No. What actually happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death with a knife at 10 minutes past 12, and then he fled the premises. He even remembered to wipe the knife clean of fingerprints. Every person connected with the case identified the knife. Are you trying to tell me that it actually fell through a hole in the boy's pocket and that someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and then stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm just saying it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. I have never seen one like it. Neither has the storekeeper who sold it to the boy. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking anybody to accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
I'm saying it's not possible!
Whoa, look at it!
What are you trying to do?
Let's be quiet. Let's be quiet.
What's going on here? Who do you think you are?
Where did you get that knife?
I was out walking for a couple of hours last night, just thinking. I walked through the boy's neighborhood. The knife comes from a small pawn shop about 3 blocks from his house. It costs $6.
But it's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right, I broke the law.
Okay, so you pulled a real right trick there. Now, supposed to tell me what you prove? Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what? Maybe there are. Yeah, so it's the same kind of knife. What's that? The discovery of the age or something?
It will still be an incredible coincidence for another person to have stabbed the father with the same kind of knife.
That's right, she's right.
Yeah, the odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
Okay, listen, let's take our seats again. There's no point in milling around here.
It's interesting that you find a knife. It's exactly like the one the boy bought. I mean,
What's interesting? You think it proves anything?
no.
Interesting! Listen, hey, how come the kid bought the knife to begin with?
Well, he claims.
I know, he claims he bought it for a friend of his. He was going to give it to him the next day because he busted the other kid's knife, dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said.
Bullshit.
The friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
Yeah. And how long before the wedding? 3 weeks. Right? So how come our noble lad bought the knife half an hour after the father smacked him, and 3.5 hours after they found it in here, the father's chest?
Well, he was gonna give the knife to his friend. He just wanted to use it for a minute.
But let me ask you this then. It's one of the questions I wanted to ask in court. If the boy really bought the knife to use on his father, then how come he showed what was going to be the murder weapon to 3 friends of his just a couple of hours before the killing?
Look, all of this is just talk. The boy lied, and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
That's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
Do you?
Do you know my answer? He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean, I'm sure? But, hey, what are you, the kid's lawyer or something? Who do you think you are to start cross-examining
Isn't
us?
that what's supposed to happen in
Listen,
the jury
listen,
room?
there are still 11 of us in here who think he's guilty.
Yeah. What do you think you're gonna accomplish? You're not gonna change anybody's opinion. So if you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, go ahead. The kid will be tried again and found guilty as sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
Yes. So what are you gonna do about it? We can be here all night.
It's only one night. The boy may die.
Seriously? Anybody got a deck of cards?
I don't think she ought to make a joke about that.
What do you want me to do?
Listen, you people. I don't know what any of this stuff about the knife has got to do with anything. Look, someone saw the kid kill his father. What more do we need? Listen, I've got 3 garages of mine going kaput while you're talking. So I say, let's get down and get out of here, huh?
The name was very important to the district attorney.
I was a 50th assistant or something, what does he know?
Okay, listen, I think we ought to get on with it now. These side arguments only slow us down. What about it?
You're the only one.
I have a proposition to make to all of you. I'd like you 11 people to vote by secret written ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take a guilty verdict into the judge right now. But if anyone votes not guilty, we will stay and we will talk this thing out. Well, that's all. You want to try it? I'm ready.
Finally, you're behaving like a reasonable man.
Check. I'll buy the rest.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that sounds fair to me. Anybody doesn't want to vote that way? All right. Pass this on. Pass the balance back to me, please.
Make an arm of it.
Guilty. 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 Not guilty.
What? Seriously, what?
Guilty.
Boy, oh boy. Now they like that, huh?
And another one bites the dust.
Alright. Who was it? Come on, I wanna know.
Excuse me, this was a secret battle. We agreed on this.
What do you mean secret? There are no secrets in the jury's room. I know who it was. Lady, you really are something. You come in here and you vote guilty like all of us. And all of a sudden this golden-voiced preacher over there starts to tear your heart out with stories about some poor little kid who couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. That isn't the most sickening. Why don't you drop a quarter on his collection box?
Now wait a minute. You can talk to me like that. No, where does he get the right to shout at me? Who does he think he is? I mean, did you see him?
Let's calm down here a little. Just sit down. It's very exciting.
Very excitable. We are trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs. And all of a sudden, someone is telling us fairy tales, and we are listening. To me, take it easy. You feel like seeing a proven murderer walk in the streets? Why don't we give him his knife back, Make it easier for him!
Okay, let's stop all this yelling. Who's got something constructive to say?
Please, I would like to say something. I've always thought that in this country, you're entitled to have unpopular opinions.
Now, let's stick to the subject here, yeah? What made you change your vote?
She didn't change her vote. I did. Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't like you to tell me why.
Well, I'd like to make it clear.
We have to listen to this.
If you don't mind.
Hey, look, the man wants to talk.
Thank you. This gentleman has been standing alone against us. He doesn't say the boy's not guilty. He just isn't sure. Well, it's not easy to stand against the ridicule of others. He gambled for sport and I gave it to him. The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I want to hear more. For the time being, the vote is 10-2. I'm talking here. You have no right.
Here you go. Never.
If the speech is over, maybe we can go on.
No, I think we ought to take a break. One woman's inside there. Let's wait for her.
Man, looks like you're really hung up here. I mean, oh, I'm talking to you. That whole thing with the old man was pretty unexpected, right? I just wish I knew how we could break this up. Ooh, you know. In advertising, I took to work at an ad agency, didn't I? Anyway, in advertising, there's some really strange people. Not strange, really. They just have a peculiar way of expressing themselves, I'm sure it's the same in your business. What do you do again?
I'm a pastry chef.
Oh, whatever, pastries, okay. Anyway, in advertising, when they reach a point like this in a meeting, there's always some character ready with an idea. And I mean, it kills me. The way they will precede the idea with some kind of phrase like, ooh. Some account executive will say, let's run it on a flagpole and see if anyone salutes it. Or let's put it on the bus and see if it gets up at Wall Street. I mean, it's super idiotic, but it's funny, am I right?
Listen, I was a little excited. You know how it is. I didn't want to get nasty or anything.
Say, are you a salesman?
I'm an architect.
Do you know what soft selling is? You're pretty good at it, I tell ya. I got a different technique though. A couple of drinks, a couple of jokes, make him happy. I made $250,000 last year selling peanut butter. Bad considering peanut butter. we getting out of it? Kids? The boy's guilty, pal, so let's go home before we get sore throats.
What's the difference whether we get from here or in constant?
No difference, pal. No difference at all.
Nice bunch of guys, huh?
Yes, they're the same as any.
That loud, heavy-set guy. The one who was telling us about his kid, the way he was talking. Boy, that was an embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
Listen, he's guilty for sure. There's not a doubt in the whole world. It should have been done already. I don't care, no. It beats working. You really think he's innocent?
I don't know. It's possible.
Listen, I don't know you, but I'm betting you've never been wrong in your life. You ought to wrap it up. You're wasting your time.
Suppose you were the one on trial.
I'm not used to supposing. I'm just a working woman. My boss does the supposing. But I try one. Suppose you talk us all out of this, and the kid really did marry his father.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's take seats again. Alright, let's get down to business. Who wants to start it off?
Well, I'd like to make a pardon me. I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, what I was going to say, well, this is probably a small point, but anyway. The boy had a motive for the killing, you know, the beatings and all. So, if he didn't do it, who did? Who else had the motive? That's my point. I mean, nobody goes out and kills someone without a motive, not unless it's just plain nuts, right?
As far as I know, we're supposed to determine whether the boy on trial is guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And we can't help asking ourselves, who else might have had a motive? This lady is asking a reasonable question. Somebody killed the father. If it wasn't the boy, who was it?
Mick Jagger.
Talking about the man I love! Shut up!
If you haven't got anything to contribute besides jokes, I suggest you confine yourselves to listening.
Okay, it's just letting off steam. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you can ask. Who else might have killed the father?
Well, I don't know. The father wasn't exactly a model citizen. The boy's lawyer outlined his background in court. He was in prison once. He was known to be a compulsive gambler and very consistent loser. He spent a lot of time in neighborhood bars, and he'd get in a fist fight sometimes after a couple of drinks. Usually over a woman. He was a tough, cruel, primitive sort of man who never held a job for more than 6 months in his life. So here are a few possibilities. He could have been murdered by one of the many served time within prison. By a bookmaker. By a man he'd beaten up. By a woman he'd picked up. By any one of the people he was now hanging out with, really.
That's the biggest load of crap I ever heard. Look, we all know the father was a bum. What has that got to do with anything?
I wasn't the one who brought it up. I was asked who else might have killed him, and I gave the answer.
That gentleman over there asked that, Eric.
Everyone's a lawyer.
Look, suppose you answer this for me. The old man heard the kid yell out, "I'm gonna kill you." A split second later, he heard a body hit the floor, and then he saw the kid run out of the house. So what does all that mean to you?
I was actually wondering how clearly the old man could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
I didn't hear through the ceiling. His window was open, and so was the window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
Yeah, well, the voice came from another apartment. It's difficult to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
He identified it in court. He picked the boy's voice out of 5 other voices blindfolded.
Yeah. That was just an ambitious district attorney putting on a show. Look, the old man knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years. But to identify it positively from the apartment downstairs, isn't it possible that he made a mistake? That maybe he thought the boy was upstairs and automatically decided the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
Now that sounds a bit far-fetched, doesn't it?
Brother, you can say that again.
Now that sounds a bit far-fetched, doesn't it?
Look, the old man said he heard the father's father fall and saw the kid running out of the house 15 seconds later. He saw the boy.
That's not enough. It's not enough for me. Not right now.
Check, and don't forget about the woman across the street. She looked right through the open window and saw the boy stack his father. I mean, I know it's not enough for you, but isn't it enough for you?
Yeah. It's like talking to a dead phone, guys.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevated train. The train had 6 cars, and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembered the most insignificant details. I don't see how you can argue with that.
Well, what have you got to say about that?
I don't know, it doesn't sound right to me.
Well, suppose you think about it. Let me your pencil. Here, come on.
I wonder if anybody has an idea.
Hey! Wait a minute!
This isn't a game!
Who do you think you are?
No, take it.
Got a compliment to Benton one! Did you see him? The nerve! The absolute nerve!
Alright, calm down. It's not important.
This is not the game! Who does he think he's dealing with here?
No, calm down.
Why, I want an apology!
Okay, Noisy, he apologizes. Now, let's hear what the man has to say.
Thank you. I wonder if anybody has an idea. How long it might take an elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point?
What has that got to do with anything?
How long? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
What do you think?
I don't know. About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe?
What's all this for? Say that was a fair guess. Anyone else?
That sounds right to me.
What's the guessing game for?
What would you say?
Yeah, 10 seconds, approximately.
All right. Say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. It takes a 6-car L train 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now, say that given point is the open window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out the window of that room and touch the L tracks, right?
Right.
Now, let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived next to an L line?
Well, I just finished painting an apartment that overlooked an L line. House painting, I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
You bet. Well, it didn't matter. We are punchy in their business anyway.
I lived in a second-floor apartment next to the L tracks once. When the windows open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Will you get to the point?
I will. Let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try to put them together. First, the old man in the apartment downstairs. He says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." And a split second later, he heard a body hit the floor in the upstairs apartment. Right? 1 second later.
Right.
Second, the woman in the apartment across the street. She claims that she looked out of her window and saw the killing committed to the last 2 cars of a passing elevated train. The last 2 cars.
Alright, what point are you making?
Now, we agreed that an L train takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman saw the stabbing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body fell to the floor just as the train passed by. Therefore, the L train had been going by the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body fell. The old man, according to his own testimony, hearing, "I'm going to kill you," and the body falling a split second later, would have had to hear the boy make this statement while the L was roaring past his nose. It's simply not possible he could have heard it.
That's idiotic. Sure you could have heard it.
Do you think so?
Listen, the old man said he heard the kid yell it out. That's enough for me.
If he heard anything at all, he still couldn't have identified the voice with the yell roaring by.
Look, we're talking about a matter of seconds here. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I happen to think that testimony which could put a human being into the electric chair should be that accurate.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Yeah, maybe he didn't hear it.
What are you people talking about?
With the L noise?
Well, it says...
You're crazy! Why should he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright ideas. Why don't you send one in to really car company, yeah?
Hey, what you talking to him like that for? The guy who talks like that to an old man ought to really get stepped on, you know? If you say stuff like that to him again, I'm gonna lay you out. Go ahead. You can say anything you want. What do you think the old man might like?
Oh, it's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under his arm. Did you notice it? I mean, coming to court like that. He was a very old man with a torn jacket. And he walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing his entire life, who has never had recognition, his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him, nobody quotes him, nobody asks his advice after 75 years. That's a very sad thing, to be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be listened to be quoted just once. It would be so hard for him to recede into the background.
Now wait a minute. Are you trying to tell us he'd lie just so that he could be important once?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps it makes himself believe that he'd heard those words and saw the boy's face.
That's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
Please, everyone. This case is based on a reasonable and logical progression of facts. Let's keep it there, all right?
Facts may be colored by the personalities of the people who present them.
Anyone want a cough drop?
Take it, mate. That's it.
Just say what you like. I still don't see how anybody can think the boys are guilty.
There's another thing I wanted to talk about for a minute. I think we've proved the old man could not have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But supposing that he actually did hear it, this phrase, how many times has each of us said it? Probably hundreds. "I could kill you for that, darling. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to kill you." Or, "Come on, Rocky, kill him." We say it every day. Doesn't mean we're going to kill someone.
No, hold on. What are you trying to give us here? The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And the boy yelled it out at the top of his lungs. Don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
Well, gee, I don't know. Last week I heard two colleagues of mine arguing at the coffee shop I work. He called her an idiot and she yelled at him.
No, listen, this guy's making you believe things that aren't so. The kid said he was gonna kill him, and he did kill him.
Well, let me ask you this thing. Do you really think the boy would shout out a thing like that at the top of his lungs so the whole neighborhood would hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Bright? He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
I would like to change my vote to not guilty.
Now you've got to be
You
sure.
heard.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9 to 3 in favor of guilty.
If that is a living end, what are you basing it on? The stories this guy made up? You ought to start writing detective stories, he'd make a fortune. Listen, there are facts staring you right in your face. Every one of them says this kid killed his old man. For fuck's sake, his own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance right from the beginning. His own lawyer, you could see it. He deserves a chair.
Does he? It's happened before that somebody has been convicted of murder and executed, and years later someone else has confessed to the crime.
Yeah.
Sometimes the facts that are staring you in your face are wrong.
I'm talking to her, not to you. Disguisers. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? The lawyer presented his case, not you. How come you've got so much to say?
But that lawyer was court appointed.
Yes, and so what does that mean, huh?
Well, it could mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case. It could mean he resented being appointed. This is the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much of a chance of winning. It's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer, so he would really have to believe in his client to make a good fight. And as you pointed out a minute ago, he obviously didn't.
Well, of course he didn't. Who the hell could except God came to earth himself?
Pardon.
Come on, look at the time, please.
Pardon. Let me some notes here.
Notes, yeah.
I would like, please, to say something. I've been listening very closely, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looks guilty, but maybe if we go deeper...
Come on, William.
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and ran away. That was at 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was he caught by the police? He came home at 3 o'clock or so and was captured by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house. My question is, if he really had killed his father, why would he come back 3 hours later?
Look, he came home to get the knife. It's not nice leaving knives sticking in other people's chests.
Yeah, especially relatives.
The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one that he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
But if he knew that the knife could be identified, why did he leave it there in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume that the boy ran out in a state of panic after he killed his father. And later, when he finally calmed down, he realized that he had left the knife in.
This then depends on the definition of panic. He was calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints on the knife. Now where did his panic start and where did it end?
Look, you can forget all that stuff. He still came home to dig out the knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I were the boy and I had killed my father, I wouldn't have came home 3 hours later. I would be afraid that the police will be there.
Look, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't believe I have to be loyal to one side or the other. I'm simply asking questions.
Yeah. If I were the boy and I done the stabbing and all of that, I take a chance and go back for the knife. I mean, he probably thought that no one would see him and that the body wouldn't be found till the next day. After all, it was the middle of the night and he thought nobody would find the body till the next day. Makes sense, right?
Pardon. Here's my whole point. The woman across the street testified that a moment after she saw the killing, that is, a moment after the yellow train went by, she screamed and went to telephone the police. Now, the boy must certainly have heard that scream and now that somebody saw something. I don't think he will come back if he had been the murderer.
2 thoughts. 1, in his state of panic, the boy may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. 2, if he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act. Remember, he lived in a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
Right. There's your answer.
Maybe he really did stab his father, didn't hear the woman's screams, did run out in a panic, and did calm down 3 hours later and came back to try and get the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all those things are so. But maybe they're not. I think there's enough doubt to make us wonder whether he was there at all during the time of the murder.
Now, what do you mean now? What are you talking about? The other day the old man see the kid running out of the house. He's twisting the facts, I'm telling you. Well, the other day the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10. The other day.
He says he did.
Says he did. Boy, oh boy. How do you like that? Well, the other day the woman across the street see the kid kill his father. She says she did. And now you're making out that it don't matter what people say. What you want to believe, you believe. And what you don't want to believe, so you don't. What kind of way is that? What you think these people get up on the witness stand for? Their health? I'm telling you, facts are being changed around here, and witnesses are being doubted when there is no reason for it.
Witnesses can make mistakes.
Oh, sure, when you want them to, they do.
Okay, let's hardly get him down.
Now, you keep saying that. Maybe what we need is a little yelling in here. I mean, these guys, they're going off every which way. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream. What's the fucking difference? It's just little details. You keep forgetting the important stuff. I mean, all of a sudden, everybody...
I'd like to call for another...
Listen, I'm talking here.
Okay, there's another vote called for. How about taking seats?
What are we gonna gain by voting again?
I don't know. The gentleman asked.
I never saw so much time spent on nothing!
It only takes a second, okay?
Okay, I think the fastest way is to find out who's voting not guilty. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. Still the same. 1, 2, 3 not guilties, 9 guilties.
So, now where are we? I'm telling you, we can yak until next Tuesday. Where is it getting us?
Pardon. I vote not guilty.
Oh, come on.
Wait, what are you saying? I mean, we are all going crazy in here or something. Listen, this kid is guilty. Why don't you pay attention to the facts? Listen, tell her, will you? It's turning into a goddamn joke.
Okay, the vote is 8 to 4 in favor of
I mean, everyone's heart starts bleeding for this punk little kid. Like the president just declared it, love your underprivileged brother week or something. Listen, I'd like you to tell me why you changed your vote. Come on, give me reasons.
I don't have to defend my decision to do. I have a reasonable doubt in my mind.
Reasonable doubt, it's nothing but words. Here! Look at it! The kid you just decided isn't guilty. You are seen ramming this thing into his father. Well, look at it, Mrs. Reasonable Doubt.
That's not the knife, don't you remember?
Brilliant!
I'm telling you, this is the craziest. I mean, you are sitting in here pulling stories out of thin air. What are we supposed to believe? I'm telling you, if this guy was talking about the election, he would try and tell us Hillary won. Look, what about Gil? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up, run to his door, and see the kid tearing down the stairs 15 seconds after the killing? He's only saying he didn't to be important. I mean, what is the point?
Hold it a second. Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there. He said he ran. At least I think he did.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Well, wait a second. Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. Don't you remember everything? Don't you remember that?
No. Madam Speaker, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we have them run the trial over just so you can get everything straight?
Speaker.
I heard you.
Okay, well, what's all this for? How come you're the only one who wants to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one too.
I want to stop wasting time.
Look, if we're going to start waiting again for all that business where the body was
But we're not. Not unless somebody else wants to. I would like to see if a very old man who drags one leg when he walks, because he had a stroke last year, right, can get from his bed to his front door in just 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
He said 20 seconds. What are you trying to distort?
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds are? You can't judge that kind of thing.
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How can he be positive about anything?
I just don't see what they're going through here. I mean, the old man said some hard run out.
Well, let's see if the details bear him out. As soon as the body fell to the floor, he said, he heard footsteps upstairs running towards the front door. He heard the upstairs door open and the footsteps start down the stairs. He got to his door as soon as he could. He swore it couldn't have been more than 15 seconds. Now, if the killer began running immediately...
Well, maybe he didn't.
Well, the old man said he did.
You know you ought to be down in Atlantic City at a Hair Splitters convention.
Listen, Stonehenge, why don't you stop making smart remarks all the time?
My friend, for your $50 a day, you gotta listen to it.
Well, now that it's got that thing in here, what about it?
May I? This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the outtracks, the bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen. And here is the hall. Here's the front door to the apartment, and here are the stairs. Now, the old man was in bed in his room. He says he got up, went out into the hall, down the hall, opened the front door just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I correct so far?
That's the story. For the 19th time.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
His bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door, and the length of the hall is 43 feet exactly. Now, he had to get up out of bed, walk 12 feet, open his bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and open the front door all in 15 seconds. Do you think he could have done it?
Sure he could have done it.
He can only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
You're making it sound like a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who had a stroke, it's a long walk.
This is the old man's bed.
What's going on?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him.
What do you mean you want to try it? Why didn't the kid's lawyer bring it up if it's so important?
Well, maybe he just didn't think of it.
What do you mean he didn't think of it? Think the man's an idiot or something? It's an obvious thing.
Did you think of it?
Listen, clever girl, it don't matter whether I fall. He didn't bring it up because he knew the answer would hurt his case. What you think about that, huh?
Okay, let's hold it down.
Right, this is the bed. I will pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy! You can't recreate a thing like that.
I'd like to see it.
Well, this is the bedroom door. The hall is exactly 43 feet long. I will pace over through that wall and back again.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What are you trying to waste everybody's time here?
According to you, it will only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Okay, pass me another. Thank you. Right, this is the door to the outside hall and stairway. It was chain locked according to the testimony. Can someone take the time?
I can.
Great. When you want me to start, stamp your foot. That will be the body falling. Time me from there.
Anyone before she rates?
I've never seen anything like this in my whole
Okay,
life.
I'm ready.
Come on, let's go!
Okay. Go.
Boys, snap it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
You think I should go faster? I will.
This is even more quickly than the old man walking to the courtroom.
Come on, let's get this kid stuff over with.
Stop.
Okay.
What's the time?
42 seconds. 42 seconds.
42 seconds.
Okay. I think this is what happened. The old man heard the fight between the boy and his father a few hours earlier. And then, while lying in bed, he heard a body hit the floor in the boy's apartment and heard the woman scream from across the street. He got up, tried to get to his door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed! Oh, listen to me, you people! I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. You come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice, and all of a sudden you start getting through to some of these bleeding outs in here. But you're not going to get through to me. I've had enough of it. What's the matter with you people? Every one of you knows this kid is guilty! He's got to burn! We didn't even slip through our fingers here!
Through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them!
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch?
This kid, you better not to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't stop with me now.
Ever since we walked into this room, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger. You want to see this kid die because you personally want it.
Shut up!
Because of the facts.
Shut up!
Say
You
it.
son of a bitch! No! Let go of me! I'll kill him! I'll fucking kill him!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
There'll be an interval of 15 minutes. Drinks are available at the bar.
There's this solitary figure in a hill. Just carries on through the past. And around the table,
This is thing to it, it's Jordan's thing. I heard that. For the last 2 seconds.
Is there anything wrong, ladies and gentlemen? I heard some noise.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. Just a little argument, that's all. We are, finished with this. Could you help me?
So what are you staring at?
Well, I suppose someone has to start it off again, right?
It's getting late. What do they do? Take us out to a restaurant for supper or?
How do I know?
I was wondering if they let us go home in case we can't finish tonight. I got a boiled chicken pox.
Pardon. This fighting. This is not my job to fight. You have a responsibility. This I've always thought is a remarkable thing about democracy. That we are, what is the word? Notified fact that we are notified to come to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have never heard of before. We have nothing to gain or lose with our verdict. This is one of the reasons we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Well, if no one else's idea, I may have a cutie here. Anyway, let's throw it against the wall and see if it sticks, huh?
See if it sticks?
Well, it wasn't much of an idea anyway.
Look how dark it's getting. We're gonna have a storm. Damn, it's hot. Honey, don't you sweat?
I don't perspire. Never have.
Listen, I was wondering if maybe we shouldn't take another vote.
Yeah, great idea. Maybe we can follow this one up with dancing and refreshments, huh?
Madam Speaker?
Okay, there's another vote called for. Anybody object?
I think we ought to have an open ballot. Call out your votes, you know. Let's see who stands where.
That's all right with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote like that? Okay, I'll call off your jury numbers. The last vote was 8-4 in favor of guilty. Okay, I vote guilty. Number 2?
Not guilty.
Number 3?
Guilty.
Number 4?
Guilty.
Number 5?
Not guilty.
Number 6?
Not guilty.
Number 7?
Guilty.
Number 8?
Not
Number 9?
Not guilty.
Number 10?
Guilty.
Number 11?
Not guilty.
Number 12?
Guilty.
6-6.
And we go into overtime here.
6-6. Well, I'm telling you, some of you people in here are out of your minds. A kid like that.
I don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to determine the case.
I'll give you any of that. Sick and tired of facts. Now what? You can twist them any way you like. You can stick them anywhere you like. Know what I mean?
This is exactly the point this gentleman has been making. I mean, you keep shouting at the top of your lungs. I'd like to be a little younger. It's very hot in here. No thanks.
It's going to rain.
No, how'd you figure that out, Blue Eyes? Tell me, how come it's raining?
No, it seemed to me that...
I mean, you haven't got a leg to stand on. You know that, don't you?
Listen, there's a couple of very important details that never came out.
Details? Lady, you're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of, you call them, intellectuals.
No, that's not so.
Come on, lady. You're like everybody else. You think too much, you get mixed up. You know what I mean?
You have no right to...
Oh, wow. Look at that come down, will ya? Think of the two things off?
Yeah, I guess so.
Boy, look at it go. It reminds me of the storm we had July something. Right in the middle of the school party. I was responsible for the cupcake stand, and we had 60 different sorts. We have this Mrs. Slattery, a fantastic baker. Wish we had another one like her. I probably forgot to tell you, I'm a member of the Parents Association at the Andrew McCauley High School. That's in Queens. Anyway, we were selling more cupcakes than all the years before, and then when it was all going so well, suddenly it started coming down cats and dogs. All of a sudden, everyone was hiding inside the buildings, and nobody wanted to buy a single cupcake anymore. And we had to cover everything in plastic sheets.
Hey, let's try and get this AC going in here. What do you say? It's still not working.
Some rain. What do you think of this thing? Even Stephen. Kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes.
Listen, that whole business where the guy was baiting me, it doesn't prove anything. I mean, I'm a very excitable person. So where does he get off calling me a public avenger and a sadist and everything? Anybody in his right mind would have blown his stack. He was just trying to bait me.
Well, apparently, he did an excellent job. Excuse me.
Okay, maybe he did. Listen, I told you I can't help it. I'm a certain kind of person. I get moved by this. But let me tell you, I'm sincere.
Fine. We all are.
Now isn't this the goddamnest thing you ever saw? 6 to 6. It's a joke.
What do we do about it? Can we break it somehow?
Those 6 bastards in there are gonna change their minds.
Well, 5 of them already have changed their mind. There's no reason why they can't be persuaded to do it again.
How?
Simply by using logic.
Logic? Holy cow.
You listen to that man. He's the only one in the room who knows
In my opinion,
Go ahead.
I think we should just quit.
What the hell are you talking about?
Those people, it sounded like it's some kind of mission or something. They're not gonna switch. So I say, let's go to the judge and tell him we are, for Christ's sakes, let's tell him we're hung. The hell with this. I mean, what am I to do? Break my brakes over some scum like that?
It's the most ridiculous thing I have. You took an oath in the courtroom. You can't just quit.
Why not?
It's dishonest. Why don't you vote not guilty?
I voted guilty because I think he's guilty.
And you just don't care what happens?
No, why should I?
All right, let's stop this. We're not going to get anywhere like this.
What does he want? I gave my honest opinion.
I know.
Suppose you don't think too much of it, huh?
No, I don't.
Excuse me, we'd like to get started in here again, if you don't mind.
How about him? Is that something?
Listen, hung jury doesn't mean anything.
Oh, what the hell is the difference? A hung jury.
That's not what we hear, Marcus!
Please.
Listen, you people. I'll tell you what I think. I think we're going nowhere. So I'm ready to walk into that court right now and declare a hung jury.
I go for that too. Let's take it into the judge and let this kid take his chances with 12 other guys.
I don't think the court will accept a hung jury. We haven't been in here very long.
Well, let's find out.
I'm not in favor of this.
Listen, this kid wouldn't stand a chance with another jury, and you know it. Come on, we're hung. Nobody's gonna change their opinion, so let's take it inside.
You still don't think there's any room for reasonable doubt?
No, I don't.
Pardon. Maybe you don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
Do you mean I don't understand? Who the hell are you to talk to me like that? How'd you like this girl? I'm telling you, they're all alike. She comes over to this country running for her life, and before she can even take a big breath, she's telling us how to run the show. Arrogant.
You mean you're calling her arrogant because she wasn't born here? Well, I'm calling you arrogant because you were. How's that?
Please, it doesn't matter.
Listen, slumber. Nobody's gonna tell me what words I understand and what words I don't, especially her, because I knock her goddamn spaghetti head off.
something I would like to go over, if you people don't mind. A very important point for the prosecution was the fact that the boy, after he claimed he was at the movies during the hours the killing took place, couldn't remember any of the films he saw or the stars who appeared in them. And this gentleman has repeated that point in here several times.
That's correct. It was the only alibi the boy offered, and he himself couldn't back it up with any details at all.
Putting yourself in the boy's place, if you can, do you think you'd be able to remember details after an upsetting experience such as being struck in the face by your father?
I think so, if there were any significant details to remember. He couldn't remember the films at the theatre he named because he hadn't been there that night.
According to the police testimony in court, the boy was questioned in the kitchen of his apartment while the body of his father was lying on the floor in the bedroom. Do you think you'd be able to remember details after such circumstances?
I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
You remembered the movies in court. He named them correctly, and he named the stars who played them.
Oh yes, his lawyer took great pains to bring that out. From the night of the murder to the day of the trial, the boy had 3 months in which to memorize them. No, thank you. I'll take the testimony of the policeman who interrogated him right after the murder when he couldn't remember a thing about the films. Great emotional stress or not.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
I was home.
What about the night before last?
Come on, what is this?
No, it's all right. I went from court to my office and stayed there until 8:30. Then I went straight into bed.
The night before?
It was Tuesday. Oh yes, that was the night of the chess tournament. I played chess.
Monday night.
When you getting down to New Year's Eve 2000?
Monday night, my wife and I had dinner at a restaurant, and then we went to the cinema.
What did you see?
12 Angry Men. It's a classic.
And what did you order at the restaurant?
I'll tell you in a minute. Something French with chicken, chapeau or something like that.
Excuse me, it's called coq au vin.
Coq au vin. Yes, I think that's right, yes.
And what did you have for dessert?
Some sweet crepes. I can't recall the name.
You mean crepes Suzette?
Might be. I never heard the name before. I go to French restaurants.
And you were not under an emotional strain?
No,
were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think the point is made.
Big point.
I think it is a big point.
What? Just because he can't remember the name of some French sweets? Well, I guess that proved the kid was at the movies.
No, but it indicates that no one here can prove he wasn't. Might have been at the movies and what he saw. It's perfectly normal for this gentleman to forget a few details, and it's also perfectly normal for the boy. Being accused of murder isn't supposed to give him an infallible memory.
You can keep talking till your tongue's dragging on the floor. That boy is guilty. Period. Know what I mean, my friend? Lady, come on, give me some of those cough drops.
All gone, my friend.
Listen, I think there's something we are forgetting about in here that I was just thinking about. That whole business with the psychiatrist.
Now, stop with all that phony psycho whatever you call it stuff. Well, all bullshit that is. filling people's heads with all that junk. Listen, I've got 3 psychiatrists keeping their cars in my garage. You know what? The whole feeling is crazy.
That's a point.
I wouldn't even leave before a psychiatrist testimony.
Why don't you let the woman talk? You can take 5 minutes on the uselessness of psychiatry when she's finished.
Thank you. What I was trying to say was that the psychiatrist definitely stated that the boy had strong homicidal tendencies. That he was, what you call it, capable of committing murder. He described all those tests, influence and all that stuff. And he definitely stated that the kid was a killer type, am I right?
Check, and I think they said something about paranoid tendencies as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, right. Whatever that is, but he said it. So, let's not forget, we are talking about a boy who always had murder on his mind.
His unconscious mind.
Nobody else's?
I beg pardon.
Beg pardon for you being so goddamn polite about all the
For the
time.
same reason you are not, it is the way I was brought up. In discussing such a thing as the murder potential, we should remember that many of us are capable of committing murder. But few of us do. We impose controls upon ourselves in order to prevent it. The most these tests can accomplish along these lines of this. They can tell us that someday a particular person may commit murder. That's all. They prove nothing.
Then, how come they are admitted in evidence?
They have many uses, of course. In this case, they added to the general impression the prosecution was trying to create. Perhaps, if we 12 people do the same test, 1 or 2 of us may discover to have unconscious desires to kill, and the potentiality of carrying them out. Yet, none of us has. To say that a person is capable of committing murder does not mean that he or she has committed murder.
But it could be. Look, they said the kid was capable of killing, could have killed, couldn't he?
You're the one who said, and I quote, "I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist."
Why, I'd really like to.
What time is it?
It's 5 of 6. Man, look at that brain.
There goes your concert!
Could I see that knife for a second?
We are still tied up 6 to 6. Who's got a suggestion?
Oh, I do. Let's go get some dinner.
Why don't we wait till 7? Even another hour.
Okay with me, whatever.
Okay, there's something I'd like to say. It's been bothering me a little, and as long as we're stuck, there was this whole business with the stab wound, the way it was made, the downward angle of it, remember?
Don't tell me we're going to start with that again. They went over it and over it.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy's 5 feet 7 inches tall. His father was 6'2". That's a difference of 7 inches. It's a very awkward thing to do, to stab down to the chest of someone who's more than 5 foot taller than you are.
Yeah.
Give me that. Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again, so I'm going to give you a demonstration.
What?
Somebody get up. Okay. Now watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. I'm 5 or 6 inches shorter than you, right?
Right? Maybe a little more?
Okay. Let it be more.
That's
not funny!
What's the
Calm
matter with you?
down, no one's hurt. Right?
No, nobody's hurt.
Take a good look. There's your angle. Down and in. That's how I would stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Now, you just go ahead and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Wait a minute. Give me that. I hate these things. I grew up with them.
Have you seen them used in fights?
Too many of them. On my stoop, in my backyard, in the lot across the street. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny, I wasn't thinking of it. I guess you try to forget those things. Anyway, you don't use this kind of knife that way. You have to hold it like this to release the blade. In order to step downwards, you would have to change your grip.
How do you use it?
Underhanded, like that. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never handle it any other way.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. That's why they're made like this.
Everyone agreed the boy was pretty handy with a switch knife, didn't they?
That's right.
Do you think he would have made the kind of wound that killed his father?
Not with the experience he'd had with these things. No, I don't think he would. He'd go for him underhanded.
How do you know? What way of the room where the father was killed?
No, and neither was anyone else.
Giving a sort of gibberish here, lady. I don't believe it.
I don't think you can determine what kind of wound the boy might or might not have inflicted simply because he knows how to handle a knife.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. What do you think?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I just don't know.
What about you?
Just a minute. According to the woman across the street...
Listen, I tell you something. I'm a little sick of this whole thing already. All this flub-dub is getting us nowhere. So I'm going to break it up here. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
So what?
You heard me, I've had enough.
What do you mean if I had enough? That's no answer.
You just worry about yourself.
Right? That's not an answer. What kind of person are you? You want to stop here and vote guilty with everyone else just because you have some concert ticket or in a hole in your pocket? Now you have changed your vote because you say you are sick of all the talking here.
Listen, she.
You have no right to play like this with a man's life. This is a terrible and ugly thing to do. Don't you care?
Now wait a minute, you can't talk like that to
talk
me.
like that to you. If you want to vote not guilty, then do it because you are convinced the man is not guilty, not because you have had enough. And if you think he's guilty, then vote that way. Don't you have the guts to do what you think is right?
Now listen.
Guilty or not guilty?
I told you not guilty.
Why?
God damn you, I don't have to.
You do have to. Say it. Why?
Because I don't think he's guilty.
Madam Speaker, I'd like another vote.
Okay, there's another vote called for. Anybody object? Okay, I think the quickest way is a show of hands. Anybody object? Okay, all those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Come on!
9. All those voting guilty. 1, 2, 3. The vote is 93 in favor of not guilty.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up. They don't mean anything. You believe his story. Look, you're an intelligent woman. Well, you're not going to tell me you're not. You know the facts of life. For Christ's sakes, look at what we're dealing with here. You know what they're like. This guy over here. Well, I don't know what the hell is going on with him. All that talk about psychiatrists. Well, maybe you ought to go to one. Look, let's talk facts. These people are born to lie. Now it's the way they are. No intelligent man is going to tell me otherwise. They don't know what the truth means. I mean, take a look at them. They are different. They think different. They act different. Well, for instance, they don't need any excuse to kill someone. It's true. Everybody knows it. These people, they get high or meth or crack or some shit like that. They are fucking junkies. Look at the girl. Look at her, for Christ's sakes. What does that mean, slam the door like that? And then when they are high, bang, all of a sudden somebody's lying dead in the gutter. Okay, nobody's blaming them for it. It's how they are, by nature. Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you going? Oh, good. Mother India, clean out your ears. Maybe you'll hear something. Look, you listen to me now. These people, they're constantly getting high and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Family don't mean anything to them. They breed like animals. Fathers, mothers, that don't mean anything to them. Oh, sure. There are some good things about it. Look, I'm the first one to say. I suppose some were, I guess, okay. That's the exception.
Do you know you're a sick man?
Sick?
Why don't you sit down?
You old son of a bitch. Who the hell do you think you know? Who the hell is he to tell me that? Let me take a look at him. Sick, he can hardly stand up. Listen, I'm gonna speak my piece, and you're gonna listen.
Maybe if you just quiet down.
I quiet down. There is not one of them. Not one is any good. Now you hear that? Not one. Well, let me lay this out for you. Ignorant bastards. You at the window. You think you're so goddamn smart? Don't you see there's a danger? These people are multiplying. This kid on trial. His type, they're multiplying 5 times as fast as we are. That's a statistic. 5 times. And they are, well, they're animals. They're against us. They hate us. They want to destroy us. It's true. Don't look at me like that. For Christ's sakes. We're facing a danger here. We're living in dangerous times. And if we don't watch it, if we don't smack them down whenever we can, then they are gonna own us. They are gonna breathe us out of existence.
Shut up!
You goddamn geniuses had better listen to me. These people, they are vicious. They're violent, they're ignorant, and they will cut us up. That's their intent, to cut us up. Oh, I'm warning you. This boy on trial. We've got him. Come on. That's one at least. I say, let's get him before his kind gets us. And I'll give a goddamn about the law. Why should I? They don't. No.
Good enough. Now you just stop it now. Please.
Where are you?
She said she's heard enough. In fact, we all have.
Damn right.
Sit down. And don't you open your filthy mouth again.
It's very hard personal prejudice out of a thing like this. And no matter where you run into it, prejudice obscures the truth. Now, I don't think any real damage has been done here, because I don't really know what the truth is. No one ever will, I suppose. Nine of us now seem to feel that the defendant is innocent. But we're just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be trying to return a guilty boy to the community. No one can really know. But we have a reasonable doubt. And this is a safeguard which has enormous value in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We nine just can't understand how you three are still so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
I try. You have made some excellent points. The last one, in which you argued that the boy wouldn't have made the kind of overhead stab wound that killed his father, was most persuasive, but I still believe he's guilty of murder. I have two reasons for it. One, the testimony given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
Yeah, and how? As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony in the whole case.
And two, the fact that the woman described the stabbing by saying she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and plunge the knife down into his father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
Now, let's talk about this woman for a minute. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was right next to the window, and she could look out while lying down and see directly into the boy's window across the tracks. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned towards the window, and as she looked out, she saw the killing through the windows of the passing elevated train. She said that the lights went out immediately afterwards, but that she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. As far as I'm concerned, that's unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
What do you think? How about you?
I don't know. There's just so much evidence. This is pretty complicated stuff.
To be frank, I didn't see how we can vote for acquittal.
And also, it's not easy to arrange the evidence in order.
Look, you can throw out all the other evidence. The woman saw him do it. What else do you want?
I don't know. Maybe she just wanted.
Let's vote on it.
Okay, does another vote called for? Anybody object?
I do. I'm changing my vote. I think he's guilty.
Anyone else? The vote is 8-4.
When makes you consider this one vote a personal triumph?
I'm the competitive type. Okay, now, here's what I think. I think we are a hung jury. Let's take it inside to the judge.
You didn't want a hung jury before.
Well, I want one now.
But wait, I didn't understand. You said yourself it was immoral.
I don't anymore! There are people in here who are so goddamn stubborn that you can't even... Listen, look, we'll never get this done. We'll be in here for a week. Well, I want to hear an argument. I say we're a hung jury. You're the leader of the cause. How about it?
Let's go over it again.
We went over it again. Little Miss Von Draper over there is bouncing backwards and forwards like a tennis ball.
Wait a minute. You have no right to say something.
Oh, I apologize on my knees. Come on, let's get up from under this thing.
Maybe we can talk about setting some kind of time limit here. It's now 6:15. 6:15. Someone before mentioned 7 o'clock. I think that's a point at which we might begin to discuss the question of being a hung jury or not.
Don't you feel well?
I feel perfectly fine, thank you. As I was saying, 7 o'clock would be a reasonable time to begin a discussion.
The reason I was asking was because you were rubbing your nose like... Excuse me for interrupting, but you made a gesture that reminded me of...
I'm trying to settle something here, if you don't mind.
I think this is important.
Very well.
Thank you. Now, I was wondering why you were rubbing your nose like that.
Come on now, will you, please?
Right now, I happen to be talking to this gentleman here. Now, why were you rubbing your nose?
Well, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
I'm sorry, is it because of your eyeglasses?
It is. Now can we move on to something important?
Your eyeglasses make those deep impressions on the sides of your nose. I hadn't noticed that before. They must be annoying.
They are very annoying.
I wouldn't know about that. 2020.
Listen, would you come on already with the optometrist bit, please?
The woman who testified she saw the killing had the same kind of marks on her nose.
That's right, she did.
Please, just a minute and I will finish. I don't know if anyone else noticed that about her. I didn't think about it then, but I've been going over her face in my mind. She had those marks. She kept rubbing them in court.
He's right. She did do that a lot.
Now, this woman was about 45 years old. She was making a tremendous effort to look like 35 for her first public appearance. Heavy makeup, dyed hair, brand new clothes that should have been worn by a younger woman. No eyeglasses. See if you can get a mental picture of her.
What do you mean, no glasses? You don't know she wore glasses just because she was rubbing her nose.
She has those marks. I saw them.
Okay, so what does that mean?
But listen, he's right. I saw them too. I was the closest one to her, and she had these deep impressions. These what you call?
Yeah, so what point are you making?
She had those marks.
She had dyed hair and marks on her nose. I'm asking you, what does that mean?
Could those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they couldn't.
What are you saying here? I didn't see any marks.
I did. Strange, but I didn't think about it before.
But what about the lawyer? Why didn't he say anything?
There are 12 of us in here concentrating on this case. 11 of us didn't think of it either.
Okay. Columbo, huh? So what about the district attorney? You think he'd pull a trick like that, having her testify without glasses?
Did you ever see a woman who had to wear eyeglasses but didn't want to because she thought they spoiled her looks?
My wife, listen, I'm telling you, as soon as we walk out of the house...
Maybe the district attorney just didn't know either.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay, she had those marks. I'm giving her that. From glasses, right? She never wore them out of the house so people would think she was gorgeous. But when she saw the kid kill his father, she was in the house. Alone. That's all.
Do you wear your eyeglasses when you go to bed?
Of course not. Nobody wears eyeglasses to bed.
It's logical to say that she was not wearing them while she was lying in bed, tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep.
How do you know?
I don't know, I'm guessing. I'm also guessing that she probably didn't put them on when she turned to look casually out of the window, and she herself said the lights went off a split second later. She wouldn't have had time to put on glasses then.
Wait a second.
And here's another guess. Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say she saw only a blur.
How do you know it? How does she know these things? What do you know about the glasses? Maybe she was farsighted. Maybe they were sunglasses. What do you know about it?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She got trained by a person 60 feet away in the dark without glasses.
Yeah. You can't send someone to die on evidence like that.
Don't give me that.
Don't you think the woman might have made a mistake?
No.
It's not possible.
No, it's not possible.
Is it possible?
Duh, I say not guilty.
Do you still think he's guilty?
I still think he's guilty. Couldn't care less. So he cunts to whatever he
Well,
How do you vote?
not good. Do whatever he wants.
You're the worst son of a... I say he's guilty!
Does anyone else think he's guilty?
No. I've made up my mind.
What's the matter with you?
I now do have a reasonable doubt.
It's 11-1.
What about all the other evidence? The business with the knife, the whole business?
you said roll out all the other evidence.
You're alone.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
It's your right.
But what do you want to say he's guilty?
We want your arguments.
If you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
Everything that came out of this courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. Do you think I'm an idiot or something?
Yeah.
Bleeding heart. You're not gonna intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. I can sit in this fucking room. Fire! Somebody say something! What about the old man? The old man who lived there and saw everything! Or take the knife, because he found one like it! The old man saw him! Right down the stairs! What's the difference how many seconds it took? What's the difference? Every single thing, the knife falling through a hole in his pocket. You can't prove that it didn't get to the door. You can hobble around the room, but you cannot prove it. I'm telling you, every single thing that went on has been twisted and turned in here. That business with the glasses, how do you know she didn't have them on? The woman testified in court. But what do you want? That's it. That's the whole case. This whole business about the boy yelling. The phrase was, I'm going to kill you. That's what he said. To his own father. I don't care what kind of man this was, it was his father. That goddamn rotten kid. I know what they're like, what they do to you, how they kill you every day. Can't you see? Why am I the only one who sees? I can feel the knife going in.
It's not your boy. He's somebody else.
Let him live.
All right. Not guilty.
We have a verdict.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take the seats in the jury box.
last performance of 12 Angry Jurors with us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, or well, enjoyment might not be the best fitting word, but we had an intense theatre evening. I think this is something we can agree on, and given that it's the last performance, we need to single out a couple of people who deserve special thanks. Let's start with someone who did very spontaneously our technical department lights and sound by Thomas today. You were recruited like a couple of hours before the play started or something? Or did you know it? Okay, well thanks for anyway. Also thanks to 3 people who were part of the cast, but also a bit more, namely Beate and Rain, where you are, and Lisanne, who not only did great work with the character, but also they were our prompts, given that this is a very text-heavy play. We need someone, in terms we fuck up a line or two. So they weren't only acting, they were also secretly in the notes checking if we all stick to the text. Which
Anyone notice, actually?
They did a very impressive job, so thank you for the double take. And we have some... Yeah, some for this area. I don't know where the light switch is actually. Do you? Do you have your smartphone with you? Okay.
There's always one.
Yeah, perfect. And he was, hey, it's a god here. Great. I was worried because you were about to leave, because there's somebody who has been part of the English drama group for 7 years now, I think. Not only as an actor, but as
9 years.
9 years!
Damn!
Blimey! How time flies. Well, he saved our asses a couple of times. Please give us another applause for the two. Very smartly dressed guy here saved our asses countless of times. Every time you see a drama group play and there's something that needed to be constructed, built, designed, fixed, everything. Take a look at that water dispenser, which was broke actually, and broken, great. After we bought it, we were broke, and it didn't work. But Frank kind of made it happen. He just brought it home and he improvised some tools and things, and he made it work. So our production manager Frank, thanks a lot. We'll be pretty much. And well, given we're talking about people who are here a while for some years, there's this gentleman over there who's been part of the English drama group for 30 years now. Matti, could you please take some? 30 or 31, what was it? 31. 31 years! When he was a student, then became composer, co-director, fully fledged director, production manager, vocal coach, everything. You taught people to dance and sing as well, and all kind of things. And you did countless things. So this is actually the very last performance of Matti Müller as a director, or as a member of the English drama group as well. After 31 years, it's time to say goodbye. So. We actually prepared something for you, but maybe we'll give it to you in a more intimate. Most of you will be stuck around here anyway with us, I guess. So, but you'll get your thingies later in a couple of minutes. Let's see. But first, please give a roaring applause for Matti Müller.
Safe in your hand, Alex. Yes. Alex, want to take over?
hate to play, complain to him.
Yes, actually.
Which one will it be?
Well, I'm indifferent. It always it depends on the kind of group you're getting. Are they funny? Can they sing? Are they capable of doing something serious like this? I have a couple of plays in my mind that I don't want to share with you now. One would be a musical and one would be something serious, but maybe if everyone's totally funny, maybe you could do a comedy or a musical comedy, let's see. So the drama.
So we'll have to come back.
You'll have to. I'm sorry, but you'll have to come back. Yes.
Always.
Back and pay money. We'll try to be as good as before, so you have to return. Well, that's all, folks.
Any questions?
Damn, it's hot.
We can't say that.